we thought it was worth it, and it was well worth it. We had a lot of good stories that these students are about to share. So anyway, who would like to come up first? Anybody, student-wise? And how about y'all, if you're willing to speak, just go ahead and form a little line so that way we can have kind of a succession quickly. So,
Jeremy and I are kind of doing this together. Me and him, or him and I, were in the same little group. They divided you up into 4 groups. You had the blue, orange, yellow, and green. Is that right? Yeah. And him and I were on the green team, and we went to the state RV park, and we got to do a kind of like a little VBS for the kids. And I believe on the second day, I had the opportunity to tell a little guy his name was Chance with a T, like a chant. And I had the opportunity to tell him about Jesus and who he was. We kind of had a little altar call kind of thing. Like we had someone speak, and then they said, who wants to be best friends with Jesus? So like if you're not best friends with Jesus, who wants to be best friends with Jesus? Raise your hand if you do. And he raised his hand, and I kind of called him over there, and he walked over, and I was talking to him and telling him, I was like, do you know that Jesus died on that cross for you? And this is the part that really got me. He looked at me and he goes, really? I was like, I absolutely did. He's like, well, I want to live with him in heaven one day. So him and I had the prayer, and, I mean, it was really a great experience. It really taught me something, and, I mean, I'm forever grateful for it. And I'll let Jeremy share his.
The same thing with me. After the altar call, Dakota was the guy that gave it. Cool guy, is originally from that place, and that's where he lives. And our kid's name was Seth, and he had to be no older than 7. We never asked his age, but it was me and Holman. We went over to a corner, or actually to a table, and we sat him down and asked him if he knew anything about it, and he was just so big-eyed, and he had no idea. But even as a child, he still knew what we were asking. He wanted it. You know, he didn't have to understand everything. And then me and Holman led him in the prayer, and after that, I mean, we sent him off and we told him to tell his parents what had happened. And I think, I think all these kids from at least our group got a lot out of the camp.
All right, so Mallory would be tag teaming this story with me, but she's not here, so I'm doing this by myself. But Thursday, me and Mallory and Tyler and a group from Midway, it was about 3 students from Midway, decided that we were going to take a walk to the pier. Well, Romar Baptist Church to the state pier is 3.5 miles. So we began walking at 1 o'clock, and we got there about by 3 o'clock. We had to be back by 5. So we were like, okay, there's no way we're going to get back. So halfway there, we're walking, and we're like, this is the stupidest thing we have ever done in our lives. Why are we doing this? Why don't we just turn around and go back? Because it was hot, and we were tired, and we were like, oh, my gosh, what are we doing? So we finally get to the pier, and we're hanging out or whatever. We stayed there for probably about 20 minutes, and we were like, okay, we're not walking back. We're going to get a cab. So us being lazy. So we're like looking up cab places. We're like, well, where can we get a cab or whatever? And so the first list on the thing was, what was the name of the cab? A better cab. So we called them a better cab. So we call this guy. He's like, all right, yeah, I'll be there soon. We'll pick y'all up. And we're like, okay, so how much is this going to cost us? And he's like, it's going to be about $5 per head plus the mileage. And we're like, okay. Well, the only person who brought a wallet was Tyler. And so Tyler was going to have to pay for it. But the guy comes up, and we get in the van with him, and we're about to head back. And he's like, where are y'all? We're at Romar Baptist Church down on the beach. And he's like, oh, that's cool. What are y'all doing down there? And we're like, well, it's a mission trip. And we had just walked. We were having some free time, and we had just walked down to the pier, and it was too long of a walk back, and we'd be late. So we decided to call a cab. He was like, oh, well, let me tell you what happened to me today. And so he starts talking about how he had helped a homeless man that day. And he picks up this homeless man regularly to drive in places he needs to go because he can't afford it. He has a job, but he can't afford to live somewhere. So this man, our cab driver, had bought the man a tent. And was setting the man up a place to live in the state park near the beach, and that was just awesome. We were like, God's going to bless you for that, for helping a man that you don't even know. And so we pull up at the church or whatever, and we're like, can we pray with you? And so we prayed with the man, and he was like, thank you so much. This really has blessed my day. So we were kind of like a seed, I guess, for this man's life, not only. And we were like, do you go to a church? And he was like, well, I've been looking around for a church, but I'm not sure. And we were like, well, you should check out Romar. And so he said that he was going to go back and go to Romar Sunday morning after we had left. But as soon as we come around, Tyler comes around the side of the van, and he's like, all right, man, so how much do I owe you? And he's like, you know what? It's free. And so that was just like an awesome God experience for us, to have someone just be like, you know what? Thank you for praying with me, and it's free. So, and that kind of reminded us of Jesus and the way he died on the cross. And he's like, you know what? Your salvation, it's free. So that's my story for the week.
I went to camp thinking that I was Christian, going there just because everyone else was. I was doing the right thing. And going throughout the week, it was pretty good. I mean, we'd go through a couple houses when we would go through the neighborhoods and hand out flyers for a VBS that we were doing. And I'd get all the creepy houses. It wasn't very nice. My friend would get all the dog houses. And I wondered why I really couldn't connect with people as much as all the others could. And one night it hit me. I wasn't being with my faith like I should. And so I went and talked to Brother Jake, and I set my faith right, and I know where I stand now. And I got baptized the next day in the Gulf.